James Lee versus Taeso Ma, the fight that finally revealed the strength of arguably the strongest characters in PTJ. Or how about Unconscious Daniel versus 3A, where we saw Samuel Seo feel fear for the first time and learn of Gu's aptitudes towards weapons. These fights are, among many others, undoubtedly among the best fights in Lookism, but there can only be 10 in our list.
Alright, y'all, at the number 10 spot, we have Jerry Kwan versus Manduk Bong. Now, this fight was just insane. It's one of the more recent fights. This fight, in my opinion, is just a Chad fight. We got these two huge, muscular, like 6 foot some tall guys just going blow for blow, duking it out. And then finally, it's now completely unexpected. Mandiak pulls out the capoeira when Jerry goes for the hook. He just hits a handstand, and then he kicks him. And Jerry was looking badass in this fight, man, with all the red on him, with the steam coming off him, looking like a Drake meme from TikTok or something like that. This fight was just crazy. Nobody expected Mandiak to know capoeira, and even got Jerry Kwan stronger than Tom Lee. Yeah, this fight was overall just crazy, and that's why it's number 10 on our list.
Coming in at the number 9 spot, we have Johan Seong versus Yusung. Even during the summit meeting, they were always meant to fight, with Johan Seong being stated the strongest fighter by Eli Jang, and then the opposite for Yusung, for him being the strongest there, stated by Daniel Park. So even back then, we really didn't have a clue who was the strongest. Now we finally get to see who truly is the strongest. Now this fight has brought out so many things from both combatants. We see Johan pull out UI Daniel mode. We see him pull out UI Daniel's moves, and then we see Yu Sung try his hardest and even struggle against him. Overall, this fight brought so much information that we didn't know before, such as that copycat talent can copy others' physicality, which was a weakness for Johan before. And overall, this fight was just really amazing.
And at the number 8 spot, man, we got Sinu versus Jake. Of course, their first fight and the Jake Kim backstory. Now, this fight just hits hard in the feels, man, because y'all know the history behind this with Sinu selling himself to workers and having to lie about it because adults value reputation over the truth. And then, ultimately Jake coming up and confronting him. And this was just a really sad fight because we get to see even Jake starts crying. And we don't really see Jake ever cry in the manhwa, aside from when dealing with Sinu. Other than that, Jake is always very stoic, and it's just really different. And the fighting was not bad either, man. It was very good fighting. Really just get to see it. Sinu putting Jake out. This was a really good fight in all areas.
Okay, guys. Before we get into the top 7 best Lookism fights, we need you to join our Discord server. Yes, that's right, you heard me. We made a Discord server just for our beloved fans, where you can discuss Lookism content, where you can discuss new chapters, power scaling, and all that stuff. It's very fun. Make sure you join up. Coming in at the number 7 spot, we have Eli and Samuel versus Sokdu, the king of Suwon. First of all, we haven't really seen how strong the kings were, because one of the kings that showed up just got fodderized by James Lee. But then we finally see this beast of a man that is the king of Suwon. And when we first get into the fight, he absolutely bullies Warren Che, who was trained by senior manager Kim. And then we even have him beat on Eli for a bit. And then we have him beat him up so bad that Eli starts thinking he's going to die. But then we have Samuel coming in for the win. He clutches up for Eli, and they both tag team him. The tag team and the teamwork was just really magnificent. Their cooperation together was never really set up before. But the fact that they were able to do this mid-battle and do these combo attacks, and we even see Samuel Seo do a wedgie on this man. And the fight is overall just really engaging and fun and funny.
And at the number 6 spot, we have Vasco versus Channing Choi. This fight was just really good, man. We get to see Vasco really break character. Usually he's a very happy-go-lucky guy, but this time he just gets really mad. Even see the blood tears coming out of his eyes. And Channing Choi really had what was coming to him, being a part of Hudson's crew where Darius is there and really just being an evil person. That's why it's number 6 on our list. Alright, and at our halfway point, number 5 on our list, we have the Crewhead Battle Royale, Samuel versus Jake versus Ollie versus Johan. Fight's really good for a number of reasons. First of all, this is probably the last time we're ever going to get to see Ollie winning fight because as of right now, he is dead. Also, Johan did become allies with Jake as of right now in the war, so they're probably never going to fight ever again in the future. Nobody predicted this fight would happen because it was just so random, but again, nobody's complaining because it was just that metal. This is the first time Samuel unlocked his heat mode, and he really just went crazy against all the crewheads, though sadly it was off screen. Johan versus Jake as well. There was just really crazy hype, and we got to see Goo and Gun betting. It's just insane, guys. That's number 5 on our list.
The number 4 spot, we have Ollie versus Eli, and it's a captivating story and fight as well. Throughout the fight, you can feel the emotions of these two characters throughout their fight, their rage, their desperation, their despair. This fight was brutal, exciting, and tear-jerking all at the same time, which is masterful writing on PTJ's part. The plot twist that had viewers' expectations go one way, and then turned out to go completely opposite of that, such as Eli being stronger than Ollie, but turns out that Ollie was truly in fact stronger. And the tearful conclusion of Ollie Wang, in which through this fight he found what he was looking for, the emotion he felt so many years ago. Content with this, he passes away on his own terms, choosing not to succumb to his incurable disease, but to peacefully pass on. Number 3. James Lee vs. Taeso. James has been hyped up since the near start of this series to be this monster of a fighter who's even above Gun and Goo. Then on the opposition we had Taeso Ma, who was the first generation king and just casually beat Heated Daniel and broke his arm with one punch. Heated Daniel was no slouch in his own right. The fans knew they were going to get treated when this fight happened. We got to see James Lee's fighting style, his attacks, and Taeso's as well. The choreography was amazing. Reading this fight for the first time was really something else. It was on a whole different level than anything else we've seen before this. We also got a benchmark strength of a first generation king's power level, which is still relevant to this day, in which characters are being compared to them, so we know James Lee is vastly above these characters as well.
And at the number 2 spot, we have Daniel in his unconscious state versus Gun. This fight had a lot of build-up to it, and the reason why is because during the whole Stell arc, we saw unconscious Daniel could easily beat Jerry and Zack, which Jerry's a really strong opponent, which is just crazy, like a no-diff fight. And then we see he finally pulls up on Gun after Gun chokes Daniel out. And this is a Chad fight, just like Jerry versus Mandak. We see him going blow for blow, and the techniques in this fight are just crazy. Daniel kicks him into a glass window, and then he goes for a flying knee or whatever. He gets slammed into the glass, and then he spinning elbows him, and then he fucking backflip kicks him. This is crazy, y'all. I don't know where he learned to backflip kick at, but he fucking backflip kicked him. And we see Gun is, I'm afraid, insanely afraid, and that's what makes it fun. That scene was just so cold, man. Like, if this fight was fully on screen, y'all, this fight could be number 1, but sadly because it was not, the fight which you could probably guess at this point what it is at the number 1 spot.
At the number 1 spot, what else would it be? It's Uri Daniel versus everyone in the third affiliate. Even before we got to this, we got to see Uri Daniel's strength being put on display against Gun. When this fight started, the characters within the story were frozen in fear initially from the mere presence of Uri Daniel. Jake and Samuel go from fighting each other to being so scared of Uri Daniel that they have no choice but to work together. Their instincts, which has been paused throughout dozens of battles, told them this is a life or death, do or die, kill or be killed situation. Jake and Samuel executed perfect attacks in conjunction, but none of those could even scratch Uri Daniel. Seeing this all unfold from the sidelines, Jerry stepped in, this musclehead who even learned boxing. Even Jerry couldn't do anything against this machine. After all this unsettled and everyone lost, Johan decides to step in and fight Uri Daniel, but even he knew he stood no chance, so he opted out trying to stall as much as he can so that he could go stronger from this fight via copying the perfect moves from Uri Daniel. When we finally thought it was over, another monster came in, that being Goo, who is Gun's rivals. This was a match made in heaven. Who would win? Goo with a weapon versus Uri Daniel? Well, the result was clear.